Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM, M630. WMAL.
We want to pass a payroll tax cut. There's a simple way to do it. For the House to simply, all we're asking is Speaker Boehner to put the Senate bill on the floor. That's the normal procedure.
This is purely based on Washington's time frame and the convenience of Washington, not on the realities of the business world. And unfortunately, we're seeing it on both sides of the aisle, in my opinion. Republicans and Democrats in the Senate decided to take the punt and the easy way out.
All right, that's Congressman Bill Huizenga, Republican from Michigan. Before that, Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democrat from New York, obviously see things a little differently on this payroll tax extension fight that's going on. It's 8:07 on the Morning Majority. Brian Neiman, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson has the day off. A.B. Stoddard joins us on the line from the Hill newspaper. A.B., you've been covering this for the last couple of days, couple of weeks, really. The conventional wisdom in Washington and really outside of Washington is that the Republicans have somehow screwed this up. How did they get to this point? Was there some type of miscommunication between Speaker Boehner and Mitch McConnell, or did the Speaker not see the adverse reaction to this from members of his own party in the House?
From my reporting, Boehner misread the situation, and it's just interesting given all the fights he's been in this year and all of the incredible balancing he's had to do between the responsibility of governing and the need to assuage his restive conservative members, new and old. And I'm so surprised by the way this happened, but I've been racing around trying to talk to senators back in their home states and members getting on airplanes, and what I've put together is that Boehner and McConnell, had communicated as they always do. Mitch McConnell has been meticulous in having John Boehner's back and keeping him apprised of everything, all along, as you know, throughout 2011. And although on Friday morning the 2-month patch began to be discussed among some House Republicans as the Senate was poised to pass it as potentially problematic, from my reporting, the Speaker was taken by surprise in the Saturday afternoon conference call with members by their strong reaction and the realization that he wouldn't have the numbers. And that's why the Senate was able to leave town. It was too late for him to say, we've got a real problem here. Mitch McConnell, I just don't think, would have helped a bill fly out of the Senate with 89 votes and then everyone hit the airplanes had he known that we'd be in this situation. And his silence speaks volumes right now. He can't really, he can't really yell at Harry Reid and demand that the Senate come back when he was a part of a compromise deal that passed with such a huge bipartisan margin.
Is there a, master political jujitsu, some stroke of something that makes this turn out okay for Republicans, or is it just look weak or take the PR hit for opposing this?
Well, Mary Catherine, as you know, it's too late to come back. Right. I don't think you save political face. There are their minds scratching about on Capitol Hill who know all the rules and the technical exit ramps from this, and they're working to try to get some unanimous consent, proposals together, and those are still fluid, and that's why I'm not going to, put my money on any particular vehicle. But there's ways at the end of next week that they can get through this, and I think everyone's concluded that they're going to have to find a way to get through it. But I don't know that they'll ever be able to really save face, because Americans have tuned out the Congress, period, after the failure of the super committee and so many near shutdowns, the near default, the partial shutdown of the Federal Aviation Administration, everything this year, that they've tuned them out, and they're doing Christmas and they just want their $1,000. So I don't know how the Republicans come back from this. Yes, you can say on principle 8 weeks of tax policy is bad and it doesn't make sense and all this, but why did we get to the 2-month patch? Everybody knows it. It was a question of Chinese money or our spending cuts. They can't easily come up with the answer to a 12-month extension. It's why they went to a 2-month patch. They don't actually have agreement on the cuts that will provide the extension, and therein lies the problem. Do
you have the feeling, though, that because there were some Republicans yesterday in the House who pretty much said, well, at the end of the day, the people's taxes will not go up on January 1st. So are you getting the feeling then that somehow Republicans will acquiesce and at least extend it for 2 months?
Yes, I think that they will find a way to do the 2-month patch. And actually a member who is in the leadership yesterday told me that they think they have till kind of mid-January. So I don't know what that means, and he was rushing onto an airplane, but that's, the sky's not going to fall, and they're going to kind of really suffer politically through Christmas and into probably December, 29th or 30th is next Friday. That would be close of business for the year, and then Saturday's the 31st. They would find a way, I think, probably to patch it, maybe let's say till January, first week of January, and then repatch. But it's also, deeply embarrassing, and it just makes people more angry about the Congress.
Definitely. Well, let's check out Iowa. It looks like, Newt is on his downswing, as many of the non-Romneys have experienced. Is there a possibility for a Santorum upswing? He has been the one who's he has been moving up in the polls. He's still not huge numbers, but he has been moving consistently up. Is there a chance he could catch fire and surprise people?
Yes, I've always believed that his on-the-ground work in the Iowa caucuses campaign, the real traditional door-to-door, town-to-town, county-to-county effort that Rick Santorum has undertaken was going to pay off for him. Newt Gingrich has been challenging the conventional political wisdom about the Iowa caucuses, as you know. His campaign obviously was effectively dead for so long, but with his late surge, he was hoping that social networking and free media and buzz would carry him through while he was still doing book signings in Virginia. But I think Rick Santorum may, with this split, muddled field where we don't have a clear favorite frontrunner, Ron Paul could win, but all these Iowans will be upset about it, who aren't supporting him, et cetera. I think if you see this split between Romney, Gingrich, et cetera, that Rick Santorum could make a clear showing that really gives him some momentum. I don't know that he's a contender for the nomination at all, but there's always, traditionally these sort of Iowa surprises. And I think that the person who's most likely to surprise in Iowa is not Rick Perry or Michelle Bachmann, but to me would be Rick Santorum.
Now, there's a little mini controversy, I guess it is. He got a very important endorsement yesterday from a social conservative leader, Santorum did, in Iowa. But then there's been a story about how perhaps the leader of that organization said, hey, I'm going to need some money to quote unquote, promote my endorsement of you.
Rod Blagojevich did.
Right. Does that undercut it for social conservatives there?
I think for people who weren't going to support Rick Santorum anyway, and who would write off Bob Vanderplaat's endorsement, that might be, it looks cynical and that might be distasteful to them. But I think people who are truly in line with Rick Santorum's principles and are true devoted social conservatives who've been looking for someone, who can talk about these issues better than Rick Perry and Herman Cain did, but about the national issues that the president needs to be fluent in, but also is really with them on every moral and social issue that they hold so dear. Rick Santorum, if he has already gotten their support, I don't know that they're going to be dissuaded by that story. They're really looking for someone who hasn't strayed, who doesn't have baggage, who knows the issues, who can talk about Iran or traditional marriage in the same sentence and do a good job of it, and that's Rick Santorum. So I don't know that his followers would leave him at this point. They're excited that he got an endorsement. They want him to make a good showing. They know that Gingrich is toxic, even though they think he's a good debater and he has the intellectual heft. So I think if you were already going to support Michelle Bachmann over Rick Santorum, you probably just still support her and you think that was a cynical story. But I don't know that Rick Santorum loses support from that.
AB, it's always great to have you on. It's never dull in this town, even around Christmas time.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. AB Stoddard from